They'll be out there somewhere.
Okay.
I'll find it.
Scott McClory in the chat said, is Australian football rugby in all caps?
No, they're different games. Half of Australia plays rugby, the bad half. The good half plays Australian rules football, which is a different sport.
What's more?
The thieves. The thieves side of Australia.
What's more, they're about similar in violence levels. No helmets.
What is the one big difference between rugby and Australian rules football?
Well, in Australian rules football, you kick the ball and you can move in all directions. Rugby is basically American football with no pass game. It's not a great sport.
No.
It's not a great sport. Australian football is a great sport.
Get back on track.
Yeah, here we go.
Anyway, we're closing it out on Ken Walker, and we'll update the poll here.
What about Tony Pollard against the Texans? He's got under 8 points in 3 of his past 4 games.
Yeah, I'm also closing it out, right? He's finished higher than running back 28. Get this stat. He's finished higher than running back 28 3 times this season. Like, that's the best stat you can come up with for Tony Pollard, right? Since Tyjae Spears' return, he's averaging single-digit fantasy points, 9.5, basically 12 touches a game. And then you think about this matchup against Houston, Jay, where the Texans have allowed more than 77 yards from scrimmage to a running back once this season. That was Bucky Irving in week 2. So in a game in which the Texans defense doesn't give up 77 to any one running back, and now you've got 2 guys splitting the workload.
Yeah, it's an elite rush defense. The Titans, even coming off the bye against probably Davis Mills, a 7-point dog. You know how offensive it is to be a home 7-point underdog to Davis Mills?
Yeah,
it's not great. And that's where the Titans are at the moment.
Levels.
Yeah. I will say, at least, the Titans' offensive line is getting a little bit healthier. They've had the bye. But the thing is, it's like, as we've mentioned before, it's still the same offensive stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Brian Callahan's gone. It's still the same guys who are working with Callahan.
Yeah.
The only thing is that...
Brian and his dad.
Yeah. The only thing, the hope is that O-line is healthier and rookie quarterbacks get better as the season goes on. Cam Ward, I would expect, is going to be better in the second half than he was in the first half, so maybe that can lift the offense and help the value of Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Just probably not against the Houston Texans.
Let's go to the wide receivers, guys, where we start with Zay Flowers against the Browns. Zay has not had a game with 15-plus points since week 1, but kind of feels like the arrow might be pointing up on this one, Matthew.
Yeah, he's played 5 games this year with Lamar Jackson. He's averaging 74 yards in those 5 games. And so Zay Flowers is more of a floor play than an upside play, I feel like. But in all but 2 games this season, he's been a top 32 wide receiver. So he's a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside if he manages to get into the end zone. But you think back week 2, when he played the Browns the first time this season, 7 for 75, had a 39% target share. So I do think Zay Flowers, I'm keeping it open. I'm as a top 20 play this week.
Wide receiver Quentin Johnston as well on our list because he's been under 50 receiving yards in 4 of his past 5 games. Jay, of course, he had the infamous goose egg a couple weeks ago. It just feels like the consistency we thought we found with him is long gone all of a sudden.
Yeah, we've taken a kind of circuitous route to get there, but ultimately, I think we are where we thought we would be coming into the season, where Ladd McConkey is the guy that you can count on, and then you're kind of playing roulette between Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, or Oronde Gadsden if he's good to go. So I don't think you can really count on QJ. It's a fairly favorable matchup against the Jags defense that I think has regressed now that the turnovers have stopped. But ultimately, I wouldn't want to count on this guy.
I get that. I'm still going to keep it open. You see it there on the screen. Ivan's wide receiver 25. So again, he's wide receiver in that 30. Yeah, in that 30. In that top 30 range, that wide receiver 3 range. But last 2 games, he's had a 26% target share, 67% of the Chargers' end zone targets. So he had he was hot, and then he got quiet for a few weeks. But the last couple of weeks, he started to heat up again. Over the last 3 weeks, by the way, Keenan Allen just a 55% route participation. Feels like Oronde Gadsden's emergence has come more at the expense of Keenan Allen than it has his QJ, even though there was those 2 games there where QJ was just like, where's QJ? And to your point about the Jaguars matchup here, 7 touchdowns to wide receivers over the last 4 games. That's what the Jaguars have allowed. So they'll take some deep shots here. There's more risk-reward, more wide range of outcomes for QJ, but I'm reluctantly keeping it open on him because of the big playability.
Yeah, 2 things that kind of push against each other. One, I think the Jags are last in sack rate in the NFL. Like, they just don't have the pass rush. On the other hand, the Chargers, like, their offensive line has just reached kind of the point of no return. Like, with Joe out there, there's nothing there. Herbert's fighting for his life, but should be fighting for his life less against the Jags defense that can't get pressure.
How about Xavier Worthy, Matthew? More concerning than the actual lack of production is also the lack of opportunity. He's not a big focal point of this offense anymore.
No, like since Rashee Rice returned, he's averaging 3.7 receptions and 37 receiving yards per game. So under 4 receptions and under 40 yards in all the games since Rashee Rice returned. He's wide receiver 55 on a points per game basis. And just to give you some comparison about the usage, right? We always go to Dwayne McFarland's utilization score over at fantasylife.com. Wide receiver 54, Xavier Worthy is in utilization score since week 7, since he returned. Rice is wide receiver 11. So you just sort of see it there. You can see the splits. Weeks 4 through 6, before Rice came back, 20% target share. He's, getting 7 targets a game, double-digit fantasy points. Week 7 on, since Rice came back, under 40 yards per game, hasn't scored a touchdown, just 8 fantasy points per game, and sub 20% target share for Xavier Worthy. So I need a ruling here from you guys on this. So I am, for the purposes of our show, let me know if I'm allowed to do this. For the purposes of our show, for the audience, I am closing it out. But I'm also a liar. I'm also a big fat liar, because in our league, where my team is so decimated by injuries, I'm actually going to start him.
Sure.
But I don't want to.
Yeah. Our league is ridiculous.
I mean, I literally might. I just picked up Michael Wilson when the Harrison moves came out. I might start Michael Wilson over Xavier Worthy.
I'd probably do that.
Yeah. So, but that's the status my team is in. But if you had a real team that wasn't decimated by injuries, that wasn't, as brutal as my team is, I'm closing it out on Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. Jesus is a big game. I got a lot of money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and to win the Super Bowl, they need to make the playoffs in the first place.
I put a lot of money on this game, just for the Chiefs to win.
Yeah.
Chiefs money
Let's
line.
get it done,
Chiefs,
Mahomes.
what is it, -3, I think?
It's up to -4.
Well, okay.
If they lose,
-3.5, yeah.
It's all like backs against the wall. Andy Reid off a bye.
Yeah.
It's just like if you lose this one, they're not the real Chiefs.
That's true.
And the Broncos are a little fraudulent.
They've gotten away with it
Offensively,
so many times.
Their defense is legit.
I fear the defense.
The defense is legit.
That's totally fair.
The defense is legit. The offense is a little fraudulent.
Very fraudulent.
But yeah.
Finally, our tight end is Kyle Pitts this week against the Panthers.
The Hunter Henry of keep it open, close it out.
He really is. He's on here like, do you start him? Can I start him? Under 7 points per game over the past 2 weeks. But Matthew, this is a barren wasteland of a position that maybe you continue to ride it out with Kyle Pitts.
I have it tight end 9, so I'm keeping it open on Kyle Pitts. Hope springs eternal here, but it's a good matchup. Panthers allow the 5th most yards per game to tight ends. They've given up at least 15 fantasy points to an opposing tight end in 6 of their 10 games. So it's a great matchup against Carolina, which has struggled against the position. And since week 7, very quietly, Kyle Pitts has a 25% target share, so which is basically 3rd most among tight ends during that stretch. They are trying to get him the ball. Now, Penix has been so up and down, it hasn't always been effective. Game script hasn't always gone in Kyle Pitts' way, but they are trying to get him the ball. And we've had a lot of fun with Kyle Pitts over the years, but he has legitimately looked better this year.
Yeah, and Penix, I think, has been very inconsistent, but at least he's been inconsistent in a way now that he can actually accumulate yards and get the ball down the field in a way that the quarterback opposite him in this game, Bryce Young, hasn't been able to do.
All right, to recap, keep it open or close it out. Bo Nix is our quarterback this week, and he's a close at QB 18. Rashad White stays open at RB 14 if Bucky Irving doesn't play. Kenneth Walker is RB 28. That's a close and possibly a new spot on his jersey spot on the wall. Tony Pollard's a close at RB 31. Zay Flowers and Quentin Johnson both stay open. Zay's in the top 20 of wide receivers. Quentin Johnson hanging on by a thread at wide receiver 25. Xavier Worthy's a close at wide receiver 37. The usage is just not there. Kyle Pitts, because he plays tight end, stays open at tight end 9. And one more reminder here. Here's our poll. Who should take the spot right above Matthew's head on the jersey wall? That is Kenneth Walker's for now, but the options are Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, and Bijan Robinson. We're going to take our first break.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.